Welcome to our podcast. This is the first episode. We don't have a name yet. We're just trying this thing out. By the time you listen to this, hopefully we do have a name and you will have found us through some awesome recommendation. But we're joined tonight by our co-host, Rob Bednark. Hello, Rob.
Hello.
So yeah, I guess should we just start with having you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Rob Bednark. I am in Portland, Oregon, originally from Minnesota. And what else do you want to know about me? I don't know. Is that good enough?
It's good enough for me if it's good enough for you. What brought you from Minnesota?
Minnesota. Let's see. It's been a long time ago. My wife and I just had a yearning to get out of Minnesota and move somewhere else. And we had looked at a map of the country and thought, where do we want to move to? We had been to most of the states, but we narrowed it down to Portland and DC and ended up choosing Portland. Came and checked it out, and it was like, yep, this is it. And like 3 months later, we moved out here. And this has been home ever since. That was back in 96, many years ago.
Wow. Portland and DC are like pretty far apart.
Indeed, opposite ends of the country. And we had DC was the reason that was one of the options was my wife was considering graduate school in political science. So that's why that was one of them on the radar.
I've heard there's politics in DC. So,
So they say.
yeah. All right. So should we just dive into the three questions then, or?
Sure, sounds good.
Okay. I guess we can just go through them one at a time and tell me what question you picked and how you'd like to answer it.
Sure. First question I picked is what's something simple that brings you joy every day?
Hmm.
And that was a pretty easy one for me because I think of starting off my day, one of the things I really enjoy when I start my day is having tea, green tea, hot tea. So my routine in the morning is getting up, meditating, going for a run, and then having tea. And I don't know, tea is just delicious to me. I like different kinds of green tea. I love having it with half and half, and it's kind of like the first thing when I get up in the morning that I can think or get myself excited about. I enjoy the meditating and the run too, but it's like that tea is the one that it's kind of like, that's the goal, is it's like that there I can like sit down and relax and enjoy it.
Hmm. Of those things, like it sounds like it wakes up your body and your mind and all that stuff, which the meditation and the running and the tea, which of those came first in your routine, do you think?
Oh, hmm. Meditation, running. Um, the running is the most recent, and then the meditation, I suppose it was a meditation that's like been there for quite a few years. And the tea, I don't know, and the tea is probably more recent, the last 4 or 5 years. So probably meditation, then added tea in there, and then the running in the last, yeah, like 4 or 5 years. I've dealt with depression at different times in my life, and I feel like, and it's kind of the worst maybe about 6 years ago. And so I haven't had depression in the last 5 years. And I feel like looking back and the things that contributed to that, I feel like coffee is one of the things that's been important. Like it alone has not, like I can remember having coffee when I was depressed too, but
Mhm.
if I don't have coffee, it's like I can kind of feel myself starting to, it like can give me a lift. If I don't have that energy, I can kind of like start to spiral down a little bit, and coffee can bring me out of that. So definitely it's been a healthy thing that way. I don't know how I went off in that direction, but
Yeah.
um, yeah.
One of the many tools in the box to keep your mental state going in the right direction.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, should we move on to the next question?
Sure. Let's see. Next one I chose is what are you most grateful for?
Mm,
And I was thinking that over. The one I'm most grateful for is my wife, Sarah. And it was good to kind of like reflect on that and think about that and realize it because I realized that um, it's something that's easy for me, easy to take her for granted, or it's good to like just stop and like ask myself that question and think about it because what do I want to say? I guess just because we've been together so long and we have so much like past experience and routine that it can be easy to take for granted and just not think about. So as I thought about that question, I started thinking of how much impact she's had on my life, and it's just so intertwined. I can't imagine my life without her. And when I stop and think about everything that she's contributed to my life, it's just massive. So yeah, that I guess I would say is probably unquestionably the one thing I'm most grateful for.
mm. I, it's interesting. This is a little bit of a like a meta comment, but the the process of thinking through the questions sounds like it was an interesting reflection point, and maybe an added benefit to the guests of the podcast.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. Excuse me, I have to let a cat out of the room.
Okay.
I guess Luna got bored with our conversation.
Well, can't please everybody all the time, I guess.
Um, yeah, I realized that as I was answering the questions, and I didn't quite go as meta as you did or think about that as far as like think it with the guests as well. And when you mention it now, I think when I've gone to various health practitioners and they would give me a questionnaire, I remember a number of times having that same experience. Like it would ask me things like, what do you do to stay healthy? Or what do you do to deal with stress? Things like that. And it's like in the course of answering those questions, it was that alone kind of caused me to take some different actions just to stop and, and reflect and think, oh, what am I doing about that? So, yeah, I think this process of just going through these questions and thinking about what my answer is, it is enlightening.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of like the best we can hope for, really. Like if everybody involved in the podcast gets something positive out of it, listeners, participants, it's like that's where we want to get to.
Yeah, yeah, something I had not considered. And just like an added bonus. Is it something you had considered that you had thought about?
Um, Not maybe in such detail, but it was something I was hoping for. It's like when when my buddy and I make music, I think about that a lot. Like we get a lot of good energy out of just the process of making music, and we hope that our music has a positive impact on the people who listen to it as well. So it's like everybody wins. There's no downside to doing something like that. And yeah, it'd be super cool if this worked out like that too. Like that makes me feel like we're onto something.
Yeah.
So I guess getting back to your second question, do you want to dive into like where you guys met or anything like that, or do you want to move on to the next one?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm happy to talk a little more about it. We went to school together since seventh grade
Oh wow.
in rural Minnesota. Class sizes were about 100 kids. Well, about 100 kids per class. And so from seventh grade to 12th grade, we were in the same grade. We had our lockers next to each other. Uh, it turns out our birthdays are actually exactly 43 hours apart. And we started dating when we were 16, and neither of us ever dated anyone else. So we have kind of this unusual relationship. And so a lot of like, what do you call that? Common history, shared history. So, and we got married when we were, what were we, 20? So we got married in college. Um, so yeah, we've been together a long time, and it's been it's wonderful to have been together for so long, and to have someone who I can call my friend as well, I guess, which I've always it used to sound funny, or used to, maybe I took that for granted too, but
Hmm.
after over time you see a lot of other people's relationships and kind of see the ways in which um ours is different or the same as others. And I realize like that yeah, it's really special. I'm really,
Hmm.
really grateful for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any advice to those seventh graders out there listening to the podcast?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, what can I say? It feels like I got lucky.
Yeah, pay attention to who your locker's next to.
There you go.
Uh,
Yeah, that's the message.
yeah. Okay, what's your third question?
Third one, I think, is what is the most creative thing you do, or what do you do to be creative? And that was an interesting one also when I stopped and thought about it. At first, I thought, I don't really do anything creative. Although I'm a software engineer, I do programming, so I do that from time to time. So that's definitely a creative act. And when I'm doing that, I love it. And another thing I realized that I think I'm going to creatively call creative is um, socializing, having conversations with others. Well, that's why we're doing this podcast,
Mhm.
is because of our conversation with each other. There's just so much joy I get out of talking with other people. I'm just curious about other people, um, kind of like what makes them tick, what they value. And I have three different friends I get together with every week separately. So we have like standing meetings every Monday night. I walk with my friend Ryan. Every Wednesday night, I walk with my friend Aaron. And then every Thursday, I get together with my friend Matt for coffee. And I have the best conversations with my friends. And I guess I'd call it a creative act. Why would I call it a creative act? I don't know. It definitely feels true, because I think there's something about creating a conversation that, I don't know, tuning into the other person. It's like creating a good conversation. It's
Mhm.
somewhat intentional, somewhat not. Yeah, I don't know. I never thought about before as a creative act, but as I was pondering the question, it's something I get a lot of joy out of. And I guess it's creative because a conversation always, for me at least, always changes me or causes me to maybe see something in a different way, or, just being asked a question causes me to think about that thing more. And it's like I'm creating an answer when somebody asks me a question, oftentimes.
Mhm.
So I think I'd call a lot of conversations a creative act.
Yeah, when you were talking about that, the image that was in my head is of like a duet of musicians.
Hmm.
Uh, whether playing organized music or jamming together, it's kind of a similar sort of setup. Like they're both. contributing to a work that's creative in nature that they can't do by themselves.
Wow. That's a beautiful analogy. Love that. Yeah, kind of like in music, it can be call and response is kind of like one form of that, where, you have two people kind of each one taking turns and riffing off what the other one is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And some of the best conversations feel like that, where one, the other person says something, and it's like, oh yeah. And I guess it's kind of like improv and yes, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, and this. And, you have to keep doing that back and forth. It just kind of builds, and it's exciting discovery and creation.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been a great first podcast. Looking forward to the conversations we have in the future.